With college decisions looming, Elle juggles her long-distance romance with Noah, challenging relationship with bestie Lee, and feelings for a new classmate. Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Movie Files. Elliot here today to talk about the sequel to one of the biggest, most talked about movies of 2018. We're talking about The Kissing Booth 2. Very excited to let you all know what I thought about this film and if you should check it out in this spoiler-free review before we dive into it, as you can see on the screen now. Make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts. If you're new to this channel, definitely subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new content. Give this video a thumbs up, helps out the channel tremendously, but I also really appreciate it. And last but not least, if and when you've seen The Kissing Booth 2, let me know what you thought about it. The good, the bad. Are you a fan of these two films? Which one did you enjoy more? Have you read the books? Do you want to see more from this franchise? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So, Elliot, why are you reviewing The Kissing Booth 2? So, a couple things. Number one, I did see the original one in 2018. It was one of my least favorite films of that year. I didn't review it on this channel just because my channel was in a different space. I wasn't reviewing as many Netflix original movies, but fast forward 2 years later, here we are. So there's that aspect. I'm a weird dude when it comes to, like, ever since I started Movie Files, whenever I see a sequel of something or original of something, I always have like this ADHD of seeing the sequel. So there's that. And then Jacob Elordi, I was not a fan of him in 2018. When a lot of the people in this film, of the original one, I didn't think the acting was all that great. But last year you had Euphoria. He was one of the lead characters, Tyler. I love Euphoria. If you saw my top 10 TV shows of last year, you'll see how highly regarded I speak of that show, and he was fantastic on the show. So I'm in a different mindset with that actor, so hopefully he can give me some of those Euphoria feels. And also, a little TMZ, little behind the scenes, apparently Jacob and Joey King dated each other from the first film, broke up, and then they had to shoot the second one. So a little T there. It was going to be interesting to see how their chemistry was after they've broken up, but they're playing a couple in this new film. So there's a little bit of some backstory of why I'm watching this movie and reviewing this for you all today. And plus, as you all may know, this community may know, I review everything on Netflix. So I don't care if it's YA, independent film, big blockbuster film. I talk about everything on this channel. And that's the beauty of this channel. You can find reviews for everything. So let's get into the positives. First and foremost, did I enjoy this film? No, I did not. Am I the target audience? No, I am not. But there were some things to take away comparing this to the first one, which again, 2018 Kissing Booth, I thought was one of the worst movies I saw that year. I don't know what the tone, this is a YA, young adult, teen type of comedy drama, but it has like some mature moments where there's like sexual things going on, there's language being on, so I'm just so confused of, I guess the target audience would be like maybe 18 and older, and also obviously the people that read the book. So I am none of those things. Well, I'm 18 and older, obviously, but I'm not the target audience regarding the being a fan of these books. So I would say this film plays better than the first one in regards to the actors seem to be more embracing their roles as these kind of cartoonish like type of characters where they're doing slapsticks, funny kind of comedy, body comedy. You have, Lee played by Joel. Courtney, who I'm actually a fan of Joel because if you guys remember, he was the little kid in Super 8, which I'm a big fan of, J.J. Abrams' film. I thought he was fantastic. Everything else he's been in, I've only seen one more project, which is the original Kissing Booth. I don't think he's the best when it comes to this role, but, I will say I think that, Lee and Elle's relationship still continues to be one of the highlights of this series. I always like when films kind of play against the taboo idea of guys and girls can't be best friends without having some type of sexual relationship. So I love that Elle and, Joel and Lee have this relationship where the first film, you thought that was going to be the angle, right? That Lee was going to be upset and be jealous that his brother, Noah is dating his best friend, but that wasn't the case. He didn't want Elle to be dating Noah because, Noah wasn't a good guy. He's a bad guy or whatever the case may be, but it's not because he had feelings for her. So I like that aspect of this franchise, and that kind of chemistry that we got from those two characters does definitely carry on to this sequel. Again, the performances aren't that great, but at least their chemistry is pretty solid for this universe that they have created. As I had mentioned, I was really looking forward to see Jacob in this movie as Noah. He kind of looks disinterested at time. Again, I don't know, does it have anything to do with that behind the scenes tea that I had mentioned with them dating and then breaking up and then having to do a movie together after that. But I just feel like Jacob was just the Tyler character, or not Tyler, I'm thinking of Euphoria. Noah was just kind of in and out as far as the performances. It seemed like, the relationship that he kind of conjures in this one with Chloe was just kind of really weird to me in this movie, guys. I won't get into the spoilers, but there is a couple new characters. You have Chloe, who is in college with Noah at Harvard. They have a really close relationship, which obviously makes Elle jealous if you saw the trailer. But then you have this other character, Marco, who is kind of the replacement of Noah, and he's this suave guy who's dancing with her, which, you got some new characters. They throw some things into the mix, and one thinks the other one's cheating on the other one. So there's all that teenage drama-ness that didn't work for me at all. But we get some new characters that I thought added a new element to this film that the first one was kind of lacking on. Is there any other positives I can say? This film, I definitely would applaud it that it plays into its hand. It knows it's this outrageous, kind of ridiculous, kind of unlogical things that this world and this film has kind of brought to us. It's kind of, again, slapstick funny, kind of Disney movie, Nickelodeon meets, late night type of, mature moments, because there's a particular sex scene that doesn't have any nudity, but there is a sex scene in this film. There is some foul language within this movie, so it's kind of hitting that Disney, late at night Disney type of vibes. But again, I would applaud that the creators behind this movie and everyone involved is playing into what they know this film is, which again isn't for me at all, but at least it knows what it is. It doesn't take itself too seriously. That's about the only things I can think of, guys, in regards to the positives. I could spend 20 minutes talking about all the negative things, but the script is as bad as, it's a little bit better than the first one, even though the storyline, there's so many different storylines in this film. The film is called Kissing Booth 2. No spoilers here. There's literally maybe 5 minutes of the kissing booth in this movie, which is just like, isn't that the whole point of the film? There's this subplot, which I don't know if this guy was in the first one, but there's a particular high school student who's a guy who is popular in school, and he has feelings for another guy, and there's this kind of undertone that, he wants to come out of the closet, but he's afraid to do so. But the way that they handled that storyline was just poorly done, in my opinion. You have this Chloe character who is, again, the potential new love interest for Noah, and you have this Marco character, potential love interest for Elle. I don't know, that storyline was just so mishandled, in my opinion. Like, Elle thinks that Chloe is sleeping with Noah, and Noah thinks that Marco is making moves. It's just like, we've seen this a million times, guys. Can we have some originality? And when you get the reveal of kind of how the square triangle, the square love that's going on in this film, you'll see how that breaks down. I'm not going to lie, I didn't remember much about the first one, so I completely forgot that Noah and Lee were even brothers. And if you never saw the first one, you would have no idea that they were brothers, because they don't mention it at all, which brings me to I guess this is a positive. This film cuts off a lot of fat from the bone. There's really no supporting characters regarding Elle's family. You don't see her brother. You don't spend time with her dad. When it comes to, Lee and Noah's family, like I said, I totally forgot that they were brothers until like halfway to like close to the end of the movie. So they do slim out a lot of those terrible characters in the first one, like that 3 groups of girls, their family, all that stuff is like cut to the side. The only main supporting characters you get in this film is you have, like I said, Courtney, you have Marco, and then you have, I believe her name was Rachel, who is the girlfriend of Lee, which Lee is the worst boyfriend, not in the sense of he treats her bad, but the way he treats her in regards to how he hangs out with the Elle, and that stuff was just, there's a lot going on with this film. But one of the biggest things for me is just like, what's the story? What are you guys trying to tell? Is it a story about long distance relationships, about, believing your significant other that they're not doing things behind your back? Is it a story about, moving on from high school, that you might not have the same goals with your best friends as you did, when you guys were freshmen? Is it a story about dancing and about raising money for college? Like, this story was ridiculous, but I think the worst thing of all with this movie, it's 2 hours and 12 minutes, and it felt like this film had 5 different endings within the last 40 minutes of this film. This movie could have easily been an hour and a half. The first one, I think, was an hour and 45 minutes, but they figured out a way to stretch this movie out another 40 minutes, which is completely unnecessary. Again, I'll be honest, I'm not the target audience. These are films that I don't normally gravitate towards. There are some nice ones you'll find on Netflix every now and then, and this is the big one that, has a sequel. I'm surprised we don't have sequels for other films, but, the two movies that I can think of, let me know in the comments. I may be wrong, but To All the Boys Before, I Love Before, has a sequel, which came out earlier this year and I reviewed, and this film. So I don't know how they chose those two to be the first two sequels of their platform. But nevertheless, do I recommend this movie? No. But if you are a fan of the first one, you are a fan of these novels, you like these actors, you're going to probably love it just as much as you did the first one. But I didn't like this film that much at all, but I did enjoy it more than the first one. With that being said, I'm giving Kissing Booth 2 a 2 out of 5. It could have been lower, but again, this film knows what it is. The film does have some, again, I like when movies give you, like, it's okay to have opposite sex being best friends and they don't have to have a love interest. And then there are some moments where it's just like, the chemistry is okay between Lee and and Elle. And there are some, other moments that were okay and funny at times, but it's not the worst. Again, 2018 was the worst film I saw that year. It's not on that level in my personal opinion. So kudos to this film being better than the sequel. And the way they lead things off, there might be a third one in the mix, ladies and gentlemen. It depends on how many people watch this film, obviously, but I think that the way that they finish this film, there will be a Kissing Booth 3. We'll see about it. But 2 out of 5 for me. Let me know what you all thought about this film when you get a chance to check it out. Let me know your pros, your cons, and all that fun stuff, and if you were excited to check out this film. So as always, like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you don't miss any of my content. Make sure you keep an eye out for my Q&A. Ask me anything tomorrow, 3 p.m. Central Time. Hope you all are staying safe, and we'll see you in the next video.